Oh, hey, how you doing? I didn't notice you there. I was just doing a little bit of Russian reading. And why are you here right now? Well, you're here right now because you wanna get some simple English to keep on improving your English, both your listening and your vocabulary. And I'm glad that you're here to do it. How are you doing? You're doing great? Well, that's fantastic. How am I doing? I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. Oh, and of course, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And this is a simple English video, so I will be doing my best to speak in simple English. And the topic of today's simple English video is hobbies. People always want to know what kind of hobbies I do in my spare time. So that's the goal. And I believe this is a pretty simple topic, so as long as I stay in bounds within my simple English boundaries, this could be an appropriate video for a beginner at an A2 level. But if I go a little bit out of bounds, this video could be better for somebody at a B1 level. But of course, anybody learning English can use this video to get a bit more vocabulary and improve their listening. Now, even though I'm using simple English, doesn't mean that I'm changing my pronunciation too much. I'm just speaking a little bit slower and trying to use a simpler vocabulary. And of course, if you want a little bit of help while you're watching this video, make sure you turn on the subtitles here in English, and who knows, maybe in the future there will be subtitles in your language. So, back to the topic of today's simple English video. What are my hobbies? To be honest with you, I don't really have that many hobbies. I'm very uncomfortable in my current economic situation at the moment. I'm not really poor. At the same time, I don't really feel rich. I don't really feel stable. So I feel very uncomfortable doing hobbies when I don't really feel comfortable in my current situation. So usually during the day, I'm just thinking about ways that I can improve my economic situation. So as you know, I have an English Institute for Latin Americans who are learning English. And yeah, my main goal is trying to turn this institute into a successful institute. And until I reach that level, I don't feel too comfortable learning to paint, learning to sing, playing guitar, becoming a fantastic salsa dancer. I don't really have time for it. At the same time, a person can go crazy just focusing on work. So everybody should have some hobbies. In this case, I do have some hobbies at the moment. Obviously, I'm always thinking about work, so my hobbies usually have to do with my profession, and my profession is teaching English, and English is a language. So for me, if I want to become a better English teacher, I need to also be learning languages constantly. So at this moment, I'm learning Russian. So I read books in Russian to keep on improving my Russian. And I also read manga in Portuguese to keep on improving my Portuguese. So in general, my main hobby is learning languages. So yes, like I just said, right now I'm learning Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, not Portuguese from Portugal, and I'm learning Russian. I've been learning Portuguese for I think 4 years, and I've been learning Russian for 6 years. So whenever I have free time, I'm usually trying to watch a video in Russian or Portuguese, listen to music in Russian or Portuguese, or read something in Russian or Portuguese so I can keep on improving and keep on coming up with ideas to make more videos for you and to make better courses for you. That's my main goal. So yes, learning languages is my main hobby. What other hobbies do I have? I do love to dance, so it always surprises people in Latin America that I know how to dance. There's a stereotype that people from Canada and the United States that they don't know how to dance, which I would say is not a untruthful stereotype. I would say most Canadians and Americans don't know how to dance. We used to know how to dance, but nowadays we don't know how to dance. But in my case, I've been learning to dance Latin American dances since I was 19 years old. So I know how to dance salsa, I know how to dance merengue, I know how to dance bachata, I know how to dance salsa choque, I know how to dance champeta a little bit. Anything else I know how to dance? I've taken tango classes, but I wouldn't say that I know how to dance tango. I've never taken reggaeton classes, but people say I dance reggaeton. For me, reggaeton is very easy. All you have to do is move your body, move your hips very sensually. It's really not that difficult. And I don't know if you could consider it a hobby because it's not like I'm dancing every day, but yes, I do like to go out on weekends, sometimes, not every weekend, to dance because it's a lot of fun. And as I always tell people, the most beautiful thing in the world is seeing a Latin American woman smile because she's dancing with a man that knows how to dance. There really is no better feeling. So yeah, I like to go dancing, to dance Latin American dances. Of course, I don't like all the clubs where they dance these dances because in many of these places they don't really have a good setup for dancing. For me, the best setup for dancing is a nice wide open dance floor, and for whatever reason, many places, especially here in Latin America, they like to put tables in the middle of the dance floor, which seems kind of silly, not very smart for a club where people want to dance. So yes, so far we have learning languages, we have dancing. Another hobby of mine is reading. I love to read. I don't know why. My sister, for example, grew up with the same father, grew up with the same mother. Did I say mother? Yeah, grew up with the same father, grew up with the same mother, and we both grew up with our mother reading us stories to teach us how to read. But for whatever reason, I enjoyed reading more than my sister. Questions for God, I don't know why. People in similar circumstances are different, but yes, I love to read. My sister, not so much. Not to say my sister never reads, but I wouldn't say it's really a hobby for her. She does it sometimes. But in my case, ever since my mother taught me to read, I've been reading. So that's probably been since I was 6 years old. 6 years old. I remember some of the books. I believe one of the first series of books that I read was called The Magic Treehouse. After that, I really liked Animorphs, and then the same author made another series of books based on mythology. And then I was really into reading about ancient Norse and Greek mythology. And then I was really into Harry Potter. I was also really into a bit of science fiction and other fantasy books. For whatever reason, I never read Lord of the Rings, even though I love the movies and it's definitely my type of fiction. But yeah, I never read Lord of the Rings, so it's definitely on my bucket list of things to do is to read Lord of the Rings. And later on, when I was a teenager in high school, I wanted to be an intelligent person. I wanted to be an intellectual, so I started to read classical literature. I try to think of some examples for you guys. There's a lot of examples. Maybe one of my favorite classical authors would be Ernest Hemingway. Oh, actually, my favorite classical author would be John Steinbeck. He wrote Grapes of Wrath and Of Mice and Men, and oh, actually, I think it's my favorite book of all time. I can't believe I forgot the name. East of Eden, yes, East of Eden. So yeah, those three books are really, really good. I love his style of writing. And yes, other books. I've tried reading classic philosophy. I still haven't read too much, so it's also on my bucket list. And yeah, and then in my 20s, I read a lot of autobiographies, a lot of non-fiction books to try to figure out how to live, how to be successful. So I've read a wide variety of books in my life, and I've always enjoyed reading. So ever since I was 6 years old until now I'm 33 years old, I've enjoyed reading. Right now I'm traveling, so it's a little bit difficult to read because I don't want to be traveling with books. So I do have about, I think 4 or 5 Russian books with me. They're nice and small. The books aren't too thick, so not too heavy, but still. If I'm reading one book a month and they're about 400 pages and I'm trying to pack light, then it's very difficult to travel because you have this big suitcase or backpack filled with books. So nowadays I don't really read as much as I would like, because when I do read, it has to be in electronic format, and I can do it. I've read a few books in electronic format, but it's not the most enjoyable thing in the world. I prefer to have a physical book and read it. So yes, when I'm back home on the family ranch, beside my bed, I have a big stack of books that I'm in the process of reading or that I'm planning to read soon. And it's something that brings me lots of peace, lots of happiness, seeing a stack of books that I need to read. I like it. So far, my hobbies are learning languages, are dancing, and reading. Another hobby that I have, again, I don't know if it's considered a hobby. For me, I don't really consider it a hobby, but I believe other people do. I go to the gym, I work out. So for me, it's always been important to stay in shape, to be fit, and to try to maximize my potential, whether it's mentally or physically. So ever since I was 22 years old, I think ever since 22 years old, that was after I broke up with my girlfriend. I was really, really depressed, and I needed something to get over the heartbreak. So I started following some male intellectuals in the masculinity world, and one of the things they said was to go to the gym. So I started going to the gym. Definitely made me feel better. Obviously, going to the gym, I wanted to get really big muscles and be really big. But I soon realized a few years later that my genetics just aren't for getting big muscles. When you're younger, it's very easy to be influenced by people saying that, oh, anybody can get big muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So when I was younger, I kind of thought I was going to go to the gym and I was going to start getting really big and buff. But I've realized that I'm skinny. I'm skinny. I'm never going to get huge muscles. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't go to the gym and I shouldn't try to be in good shape. So yes, I go to the gym 3-4 times a week. to try to maximize my potential. I like to lift weights and I like to do calisthenics. Those are my preferred modes of exercise in the gym. And yeah, that's the gym. And to end this video, some hobbies that I used to do but I don't really do anymore. So at the same time that I broke up with my ex-girlfriend and I started going to the gym, I also discovered that doing martial arts is a good way to make yourself feel better and to really release a lot of tension from your life, and I definitely recommend it. So at that time, when I was 22 years old, between 22 and 25, I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Again, is it a hobby? I guess it's a hobby because it's something I did in my spare time. So I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 3 years, a little bit in Vancouver and then a little bit in Cartagena, Colombia. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a fantastic way to humble myself, to make myself feel small, which who knows, maybe for you that sounds horrible, but as a human being, especially nowadays, everybody has a huge ego. Everybody thinks that they're the center of the world, and everybody thinks that they should get all the attention. Maybe not everybody. And I'm not gonna lie, I get like that sometimes. I think everybody gets like that. Maybe not everybody, but I think a vast majority of the people get like that. And I found that after training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I go to the gym, the dojo, I learn some new techniques, and then I have to roll, to spar with somebody for 10 minutes. You soon realize that there are people who are stronger than you, there are people that are more advanced than you, and that in reality it's pretty easy to get killed. Again, for lots of people that sounds kind of weird, kind of crazy, but realizing how easy it is to be killed is a great way to humble yourself. And when you humble yourself, you actually feel more relaxed. You feel like there's not as much stress. You feel like there's a weight off your shoulders. You don't have to try to impress people as much. You don't have to play silly games, because you just know that in a moment somebody could choke you and kill you. That was what I learned from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And the other hobby that I used to do that I don't really do anymore is draw. So when I was in my early 20s, I realized that there was an opportunity to become an architect, which was my dream ever since I was a kid. And I don't want to say that I will never fulfill this dream, but right now I'm taking a pause from this dream, even though, of course, as I get older and older, it's more and more, maybe I shouldn't say more and more, it's less and less likely that I'm going to fulfill it, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep on trying to reach that goal. But yes, when I was in my 20s, I wanted to become an architect, and of course, to be an architect, in my mind, you have to know how to draw. So yeah, when I was about 20 years old, I started to draw buildings and just sketch things in a little tiny notebook in my spare time at university. Then I broke up with my girlfriend. I didn't feel as restricted about what I drew, and of course, for me, one of the most beautiful things in the world is the female body. So I would draw, women. I would draw women. Normally, I would just find a beautiful picture of a woman naked or in clothes. For me, I love the female curves, so of course, most of the time the women are going to be in underwear or in a bikini or are naked, because I want to be able to draw everything. And yeah, I would draw a lot, and I was pretty good at it. When I was a kid, that was also a hobby of mine, was drawing, but when I was a kid, I liked to draw Pokemon. But yeah, of course, when I got older, more mature subjects, I liked to draw women, naked women, or almost naked women. And I did that for many years. I stopped doing it probably about maybe 2 years ago. Just I had too many things on my plate, too many things to do with work and with life. So that's one thing that you learn as you get older, is that you don't have all the time in the world to do everything. So if I'm gonna learn how to program, if I'm gonna learn languages, if I'm gonna go to the gym, and if I'm gonna grow a business, then you have to make sacrifices. So one of those sacrifices at this moment is drawing. I love to draw. I definitely wish I had more time to do it, but at this time I don't draw anymore. And those are two hobbies that I don't do anymore. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and drawing. And I would love to do both, but like I just said, I don't have enough time. And those are all of the hobbies that I'm currently doing and the hobbies that I used to do. So question for you is, what are your hobbies? Let me know down below in the comments. And I hope from this video you've maybe learned some new words, you feel more confident in your listening skills, you feel like you're advancing and progressing, because that's the point of these simple English videos, to help you keep on advancing bit by bit in your English learning journey. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next simple English video, my dear student. Bye.